urging us to interact with each other so that we can build future collaborations. So we would begin with our first session, and I would take this opportunity to welcome our first panel discussion on optimizing and organizing the primary sector with a focus on agri-tech and food security broad area agriculture. We all are aware that agriculture is the primary sector of our Indian economy, but is challenged by agrarian distress and agricultural productivity not being in conjunction with farm incomes. While the governmental funding is leading to more research and development in agriculture, today's rural youth has the propensity of unwillingness to make agriculture a source of income. So the Y20 is a great platform to engage this young community in the scientific discussion and decision making for addressing these key issues in agriculture. So now I will hand over the stage to the moderator of this session, who is Dr. Alla Singh, scientist at ICAR, Indian Institute of Maize Research, Ludhiana.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Before we start, I think first of all, I would like to call upon all the panelists on the stage, and then we can start these discussions. So we have two esteemed international guests, Dr. Moumita Srivastava and Dr. Sanjay Singh. And we have one person from Punjab Farmers State Commission, Dr. Nikhil, and one Ph.D. scholar, Bipasha Bhattacharjee. I request all of you to please come on the stage. Very briefly, I will give their introduction while they are occupying their seats. Dr. Moumita is working as a postdoctoral research fellow in Rothschild Institute, UK. And she won National Postdoc Fellowship by Department of Science and Technology in 2017. Her research focuses on biotic and diabatic stress and their crosstalk. Dr. Sanjay Singh is working as scientist one in University of Kentucky, and he has a vast experience on molecular biology and bioinformatics related applications. He has been working on regulation of metabolism in plants and discovery of novel genes. Dr. Nikhil has experience of 10 years with Government of Punjab, and he has been involved in high-tech farming techniques and in designing agro-technologies for precision agriculture. And Bipasha Bhattacharjee is working in CSIR IHBT Palampur. She won the prestigious Fulbright Nehru Fellowship, and she worked as a scholar for some time, for 1 year in 2021 in University of Kentucky. She is working in the field of plant virology. Hello. Good morning to all once again. Am I audible? So first of all, on behalf of all the panelists, I would like to thank the organizers of Guru Nanak Dev University who are organizing this program. And we are delighted and we feel privileged to be invited for this Y20 panel discussions here. The very fact that this first panel discussion starts with agriculture or the primary sector, I think this itself highlights the importance of agriculture to Indian economy. Dr. Behal just mentioned that agriculture is the primary employer in India. And what we witnessed in the COVID-19 pandemic, that while all the other sectors plummeted, it was agriculture that kept the country going. And it's true that service and industry sectors drive the economy of a nation, but the primary fuel comes from agriculture. So that's why it is said that when the agriculture sneezes, the whole economy sort of catches cold. Also, there have now been empirical estimates which say that agriculture, along with its forward production linkage to manufacturing sector and its backward production linkage to the services sector, it contributes as much as 50% to the minimum to Indian economy, at least. This is the multiplier effect that we see in India. In United States, this has been estimated to be 6 times. So whatever their real nominal contribution is, it is 6 times more when we consider the linkage to other sectors in the economy. One thing to see is that while agriculture definitely has shown resilience and capacity of stress absorption, but it does suffer from many uncertainties. And primarily, these uncertainties come from climate change, over-intensification of agricultural systems, and the rapidly degrading natural resource base. These all are global issues. They require viable solutions. Climate change is a global phenomena. Similarly, crop diversification. It is not that only in Punjab and Haryana we need crop diversification. If we look at the agricultural systems of the world, almost in every geographical region, there is requirement for some sort of crop diversification or the other. Building resilient systems is the requirement of everyone. For example, American Midwest, if we see, definitely Southeast Asia, we have many parts in Europe and Polynesia, which are tackling with this problem or issue, I can say, of crop diversification. So agriculture is again truly a global phenomena as well. Whatever solutions are developed in one part of the world, they can be taken to other parts after adjusting for the local conditions. The theme of G20, which is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, meaning that the whole world is one family. And I think this message was practically shown to the world by Guru Nanak Dev Ji with his message of Sarbat Da Pala, or what we say, universal welfare. So both these concepts of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam and its practical manifestation in the message of Guru Nanak, I think they very aptly describe the kind of international cooperation that we require to solve the issues that we have at hand, and particularly for agriculture, because it sustains every one of us. Again, Y20 is very commendable effort, and India has taken presidency in G20. In Y20 also, I think the presidency role that India is taking, because India has globally the largest workforce. Working age group is the largest in India. It is estimated that in the next 25 years, 1 out of 5 people in the working age group, they will be residing in India. So ultimately, the youth has to take this opportunity, and again, we are thankful to Government of India and to all the agencies which are supporting it in organizing such types of panel discussions. We are all delighted to see a learned audience, a very diverse audience in front of us. We wish to learn from your advice, experience, and guidance. So with this, let us start the first panel discussion, which is under the sub-theme, Optimizing and Organizing the Primary Sector. Ultimately, clearly reflecting that the future of agriculture depends on optimization of the value chain and organizing this sector so as to bring more regulation and accountability. So, Dr. Moumita, my first question is to you, that agriculture is at the nexus of 3 important issues: food and nutrition security, then there is conservation of natural resource base, and third, but which is not the least, that is climate change and its mitigation. So kindly share your views on how the agricultural productivity be maintained in the current scenario of frequent weather changes and climate change.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for this question. And before I start, a very good morning to all of you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this program. So coming back to your question, climate change is a natural phenomenon. It is a shift in the temperature and the weather patterns. However, since the start of the industrial era, that is in the 19th century, this change in the climatic pattern is mostly driven by human intervention. And if we go by the data, since the 19th century, there has been a rough increase of about 1 degree on the global surface temperature. And although it sounds very less, however, it has a deep impact on the melting of the polar ice caps and rising of the sea levels. And we all are aware of the effects of global warming, the increase in the global temperature, the shifts in the weather patterns. You have excessive rainfall leading to floods, and on the other hand, you have scanty rainfall or maybe no rainfall that results in droughts. And plants have to face all these environmental challenges, and they need to cope up with these changes. And the plants that are able to cope up with these changes, they survive, they develop resilience, they survive. The plants that are susceptible to these changes, they succumb, they die. And this is what we know as the theory of selection. And this process or this adaptation to the changing environment is natural. The plants take it as it comes. However, if we leave it on the plants, it'll take a long time for development of resilient varieties. And keeping in mind the global change in or global increase in the population, which is projected to be about 9 billion by the end of 2050, the agricultural productivity needs to be increased by about 50 to 60%, so that we can ensure food to each and every person, and we can ensure global food security. And that is why here we need to intervene with the scientific approaches, so that we can develop resilience in the plants to cope with these environmental challenges. And scientists all across the globe, they are working to develop climate resilient plants, and they are using different methods. They are using gene editing, genetic modifications, traditional breeding to bring in additional resistance factors in the plants. Like they are trying to bring in more heat tolerance in crops like corn and wheat, and maybe more salinity tolerance in plants like rice, and more drought tolerance or things like that. And this is a very important approach, and this will ensure that we have more resilient varieties, more improved varieties of crops. And on the other hand, we can also explore the fact that there are many crops that are in themselves, they are more resilient to these temperature or these climatic conditions. For example, if we talk about millets are naturally they are more temperature and drought tolerant. We talk about sea beans, they are more salt tolerant. And also, of course, we always remember the legumes and the pulses. They have their own nitrogen fixing properties, so we do not need to supplement the soil with nitrogen fertilizers. So in the end, I would sum up that we need to keep in mind with these scientific approaches and with these qualities that the plants have in them, and we need to explore more on them, so that we can improve the varieties of the plants that can withstand these temperature conditions, and we can improve the productivity and hence contribute to the global food security. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Moumita. You mentioned about 1 degree Celsius rise in temperature.
Yeah.
There is an estimate that in Punjab, in 17 to 23rd February, the maximum temperature reaches 4 to 5 degrees Celsius above what normally there used to be. So that what leads us to terminal heat stress resistance in wheat. This time the situation appears to be well under control. But then again, with the climate change, not only the abiotic stresses, but biotic stresses also, they increase. The incidence of, for example, pathogens and pests also increases. In 2018, a highly invasive pest, fall armyworm, was first sighted in India. This pest is otherwise native to North and South America, and it made its first transcontinental migration to Africa in 2016. And there it caused a crop infestation in around 44 countries before finally coming to India. And this is such an invasive pest that it can travel even up to 100 kilometers per night. This is the geographical area, and again, for them also the world is truly global. And there were apprehensions that India's maize production will come down by as much as half in at least year 2018. But I must say that there was a concerted governmental effort. Research institutes and universities, they quickly studied the life cycle of the pathogen. They found common parasitoids which can act in biocontrol. These advisories were generated, package of practices were documented, they were disseminated to the farmers, extension services chipped in, and every sector of the government farmers, NGOs, they roped in, and finally we had a much less, we could manage it quite well. And although Dr. Nikhil was telling me in the morning that fall armyworm still is there, but the farmers are now much well aware, they're much educated and they can keep it under control. So this is the kind of cooperation that we require within nation and across nations to solve these issues. Bipasha, you are working in the field of plant virology. And kindly share your views. What approaches are you taking to build biotic stress resilience in plants? It's not audible. Dr. Nikhil, your mic is working? Once try. Okay, you can take this.
A very good morning to everybody. Thank you for the question. I think biotic stress tolerance in the current scenario is extremely important to be studied by people, and practical means are needed to be taken up in order to control them at a bigger level. Agriculture being a very important part of the country, it is a very welcome move that the Union Ministry has recently relaxed rules for genome editing, the SDN1 and SDN2 categories of India, of the plants. So quickly touching on what SDN1 and SDN2 are. So these are categories of plants where a double-stranded break in the genome of the plant without addition of any genomic DNA. And both of these technologies do not contain foreign DNA. And we are able to utilize these changes for precise and targeted changes. And these genome edited plants have the potential to make an impact in agriculture by incorporating a wide range of traits. Now, a lot of labs and a lot of research institutes are studying various genes or various promoters that are, very important in various bacteria or fungus or viral tolerance. So having precise editing helps us in making changes that do not need the incorporation of a foreign DNA, but are also very good in terms of agricultural productivity. I would like to give you certain examples like the rice blast, powdery mildew, bacterial blight. These diseases, cucumber mosaic virus, tomato leaf curl virus, these have been underway. Research has been underway using genome editing in various labs in ICARs or CSIRs. And they are working in a targeted and a consorted mechanism for these genome editing in different crops like cotton, chickpea, and rice. So I think that along with the government's help, and the research that is going on in lab, there is a wonderful, prospect in the future when it comes to targeting various biotic stresses in the country and globally as well.
Thanks, Bipasha. Of course, these are wonderful times for research. How was your experience as a Fulbright fellow?
So I was a Fulbright Fellow in 2021 in University of Kentucky. I was working in the Department of Plant Pathology, College of Agriculture. We worked on lab as well as field-based work. My work basically dealt with mechanisms of systemic acquired resistance in plants, and we were working on biotic tolerance, biotic stress mechanisms. What I understood being in US for that amount of time, speaking to farmers, speaking to other scientists, is there are a lot of different problems, niche problems that every single country faces, but in the global level, the problems are very similar in nature. And everybody wants to actually tackle these problems, especially relating to biotic stresses, and do it in a method that is going to be healthy for the soil, that is going to be healthy for the food chain, and also that is going to be healthy for everybody who is, participating for the longer term, for the health of the soil, health of the water bodies, health of the humans. and not, incorporate, not have any kind of negative attributes to human health as well as health of the nature. So that was a very, it was something that experience made me realize that, okay, so these are very different, there are different problems, but everybody is looking for one solution, that is sustainability and sustainable conservation efforts in agriculture.
Thank you, Bipasha, for sharing your experience. Dr. Nikhil, my next question is to you. Any solution that is developed for agriculture needs to have scalability and sustainability. You know that this fertile Indo-Gangetic plain and especially the western flank, including Punjab and Haryana, they have contributed largely to the food grain production in country. But now the priorities of agriculture are changing. There is an immediate need to conserve groundwater reserves. Since you have worked closely with the farmers and you have expertise in protected cultivation, what do you think about precision agriculture, which is agriculture 4.0, just we are like industry 4.0? How can the practices of precision agriculture improve the sustainability in agriculture in the state?
Hello. Actually, the farming is changing at very fast rate. Earlier, we were thinking about the food security. Our focus was on productivity, but addition to this, now we are focusing on conservation of our natural resources as well as our nutritional security. So there is a big change in agriculture. Like we have a high productivity, high cropping intensity, assured irrigation also, but there are some challenges like changing in weather conditions, unpredictable rains, saline soils, problematic soils, and even saline groundwater also in some areas of India. So these are the challenges. So we have to adopt some new techniques in agriculture so that we can shift this our old techniques and update our with the new techniques. Like I will give you example about the climate change. Ma'am talk about the heat stress and hails and unpredictable rains. So we can have an option of protected cultivation. And the protected cultivation, it starts with the low tunnel technology. Low tunnel technology means we are protecting our crop with the cover of plastic sheet. And other technique is cover crop. Like in Himachal, they are protecting their apples from the hailstorms. So these are the basic techniques which are very economical to the farmers. For small and marginal farmer, they can protect their crop from the adverse climate condition. Then other issue is like problematic soils, like soils with the high salinity. So we recommend the raised bed cultivation technique. It's an old technique and now it's a raised bed technique with the drip irrigation, mulching, and with multi-cropping. These all techniques together form a combination, and people call it as many names like good grow fagwara technique, Siri technique. In Pakistan, they are saying a picnic technique. So these are the traditional techniques which were earlier we using. But the agriculture is now shifting from flood irrigation, from flat irrigation, flat sowing to raised bed, drip irrigation, micro irrigation with sprinkler. Even rain guns are also coming to irrigate our orchards, so that to eliminate some pests like mites, thrips, and others. Even sprinkler irrigation has recommended in the wheat to overcome the heat stress like in climate change. So these are the emerging techniques. And other than this, the protected cultivation include net house cultivation, polyhouse farming, high-tech vegetable nursery unit production units. And one is emerging line is with the Dr. Patit, his expertise in biotechnology. The micropropagation technique, where there is difficult to produce seed, we can propagate our plants, our crops with the micropropagations. So we can we can multiply faster, and this technique is famous in many crops like flowers, gerbera, strawberry, even sugarcane, mentha, many banana. So even in papaya now, this technique is emerging, micropropagation, because the papaya is affected with the leaf curl virus. So very difficult to produce one seed of papaya. The cost of one seed is 5 rupees. So in the high value segment crops, where the seed cost is very high, we can go for micropropagation. And where the seed setting is the problem, we can go for that problem. So these techniques are interconnecting, and farmer youth is coming in this line. We government have developed some center of excellence in the different part of our India. More than 28 center of excellence present in India, and among them 7 center has established in Punjab. So these centers, and along with the horticulture states in the Punjab, they are the model for the agriculture, and farmers are getting training, youth are getting trained from these center and adopting these technologies in the field level. So I think youth now coming in these new techniques with sensor-based irrigation system, where we can control the water, because the future is water. Water is agriculture. If we have a plenty of water, then we can go for more crops and more cropping intensity, we can achieve the productivity. So our bigger challenge is now our conserve the groundwater. So we have advised the government to regenerate our canal irrigation, to revive our canal irrigation system, so that farmers and agriculture, all farm can get the plenty of canal water, so that groundwater extraction can be controlled. So for that, state government has also released a water regulation policy for the state, where he is controlling, checking the groundwater extraction from all our state. So I think these intervention, and recently we are agriculture state of Punjab, and we are framing agriculture policy for Punjab, and we are thinking of these techniques and conserve our natural resources. We are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nikhil, for sharing the efforts being taken by Punjab government to tackle this issue. Dr. Sanjay, agriculture is under constant stress. These stresses are not static, but they are highly dynamic, and there is a significant crosstalk amongst each other. Now, while these agroclimatic conditions and other market conditions can change, but one thing which is ultimately very important for success of the future in agriculture is the seed or the cultivar variety. We talk about host plant resistance, so that these good traits are genetically present in the plant through natural integration or integration techniques as well, or through maybe gene editing also, wherever they are available. So what is your take on these new approaches, new avenues for crop improvement to build resilient agricultural systems?
Hello. Okay, are you getting me?
Yeah, it's
okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So actually, the global human population is expected to grow by 9 or 10 billion in 2050. But the agricultural output is expected to shortfall by more than 40 to 70% if more agricultural lands are not available. Besides that, the consumer expectations are health-based various diets, or your desire to move the more sustainable bio-industrial base will demand for more food, feed, fibers. So actually, we need to work and identify some traits which are related to the crop yield stability, or nutrition value. So I believe there are 4 factors which can affect our journeys. That can be the I innovations, the I choices, the I exigencies, and the I denial. Actually, I added I in before these factors. It means nothing, but if you not add I before phone, nobody cares, right? So similar to these factors, these are very important. That's why I added I before them. So, and these 4 factors are limitless. So let me start with the I innovations. So I innovations actually include all technical advances in the field of agriculture. And you know that unlike the conventional methods, the new molecular methods can introduce the new traits faster and the cleaner way. Just for example, the CRISPR-Cas9 was introduced in around 2012. And in last 10 years, more than 300 tests have been introduced in the different plants, and they have been tested in the greenhouse conditions, and several of them has been tested in the farmland. The next one is the choices, I choices. So I choices will be like the personal crop. So just like the personal medicine, there will be demand for the specific taste or maybe specific nutrition value. So we need to work on those traits. And if there is choices, you need to prepare some products or something like that so that you can fulfill all those demands. Just for example, all of us know that cattle industry has huge carbon print, right? So one startup in the US asked a question, what if I provide an alternative of the cattle industry? So what if I make something from the plant that tastes or smell like ham or pork or beef? And when I was coming here in Chicago, I asked a restaurant, So in the restaurant, I am vegetarian, so I asked, do you have any vegetarian options? And the gentleman told me, why don't you try the Impossible Burger, right? So in US, all the supermarkets, big restaurants like McDonald's and everyone, they are testing that plant-based. So since I have never tested the actual ham and plant-based ham, but if you go to the review, people are saying that they are similar. So this is the choice. The third one will be the emergency, the emergency. So beside the ever-growing human populations and the climatic changes, there are several other factors which can affect our food security. Like recent COVID-19 outbreak or war, they have proven the vulnerability of our food supply. And they have also proved that only free market economy is not good enough for our food security. So for only the Ukraine war is affecting more than 30% of traded wheat and sunflower. It is also affecting the farm fuel cost and the fertilizers cost. So these are another factors. And the last factor I will include the denial of the tax. So in spite of all efforts, still the new biotech choices are not welcome in the all country and all societies. Even the new genomic tools, if you use them to introduce a new traits in the crop, they are not welcome in several countries in Europe, although they are welcome in the North America, South America, and some part of the Asia. So in conclusion, actually we need to work on a common ground, to find a common ground so that the all agri-techs can achieve our goal for the food security of the future. That is the only way. So we need to work together like we are sitting here together to make a system. If somebody is not cooperating, like if the mic is not cooperating, I cannot convey my message, right? The same way, if one factor, if innovation is stopped, or if innovation is there and you are denied that takes, then there will be havoc. So we should work together to achieve that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. So whether it is I or A from agriculture, ultimately the thing is that it is very important.
Yeah.
And what I get from your talk just now and what Bipasha, when she shared her experience, is that ecological sustainability is something that everybody is now looking for, whether it is through shift in diets or it is through building resilient systems. Everybody is looking for ecological sustainability. This is going to be the new future for our planet. And because this again brings up the question, what about the state in which we are? We want crop diversification to happen, this is not the only geographical region, but then of course in this scenario or the context of India, one of the very important regions where these efforts are urgently needed. I think what I gather from Dr. Nikhil, that we are returning to some of our traditional practices, but now we are more data driven. Now we are more precise. Now we can understand what is happening and we can manipulate according to that. In crop diversification also, I think that now the governments have a lot of options in terms of crops. For example, I come from Indian Institute of Maize Research. Maize is one of the very good options to diversify the rice wheat monocropping system in Punjab. Maize, and then there is specialty corn, for example, baby corn, popcorn, sweet corn, and the nutritious corn. In Africa, this quality protein maize, which has higher amount of lysine and tryptophan. It has played a very good role in alleviating malnutrition and other things. So what we in our institute, we did that we designed a rapid kit to test whether a maize is normal maize or it is quality protein maize. So yesterday we went to Sadapind and there they gave this makke di roti. So if that is made of quality protein maize, we can test it in 5 minutes whether it is made from normal maize or it is from quality protein maize. whatever products you make, whether that is bakery products or any kind of products, we can test in 5 minutes. I think these kind of interventions are also very important to actually bring these biofortified varieties to the marketplace. How do you create the trust that yes, these are biofortified? Because otherwise there is no difference. Like in rice, you have a scented smell in basmati, you can easily differentiate. But for many, like there is high zinc wheat, or there is this quality protein maize which has high lysine or tryptophan. How does the farmer convince the procurement agency that it has this high value? So designing of rapid kits is one of these areas, and all these come under the new technologies, including biotechnology. Then Dr. Nikhil was telling me that in Punjab, a lot of research is happening on colored vegetables. You have in carrot, in tomato, then in cucumber, a lot of colors, capsicum for example, a lot of colors are there. And we also talk of urban agriculture, and there is a distinct urban taste as well. They like to have all these things in salad. PAU has recommended, I think for the last 2 years, this black carrot in their traditional kanji drink also as a diversification option. Guru Nanak Dev University has done very commendable work. There has been work on low chilled apple varieties which require lesser amounts of chilling, and they are suitable to growth in Punjab. So otherwise we think about apples only growing in cold regions. Even in Punjab region, the university has been successfully able to grow apples. And then they have developed agrotechnology for banana micropropagation, and currently doing work on saffron and sweet potato also. So I think these options are available to us now. But crop is not the only thing. We do have options in terms of utilization also. They can be utilized in terms of food grains. Or for example, now the government of India has a very ambitious program of ethanol blended petrol. You know that all the petrol that you get at the bunks is blended with 10% bioethanol. So for example, maize is a very good crop, both first generation, and now efforts are underway to try second generation also. Government is promoting bio-CNG. Sir has talked about Ukraine, and geopolitical pressures are there. So these are the areas where we need independence. We need energy security as well, apart from food and nutrition security. And then in terms of commercialization also, for example, in India, minimum support price is one of the instruments, but now many new instruments are also being tried, especially by NGOs and also by research institutes or the institutes who are involved in policy. For example, carbon credits, futures options are there. Palampur is the first area in Himachal that introduces payment for ecosystem services. They are conserving their agriculture, and there are people who are paying them for this. So this payment of ecosystem services is again very good options that is available. Silage industry in Punjab, which has very good linkage with the dairy sector. Like if we are able to make good quality silage, if we are able to address this issue of fodder security, that itself will bring a lot of transformational change. Because dairy sector also contributes a lot to the Indian economy. And again, it was one of the most resilient sectors during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think that we do have all these kind of options available to us. Now the thing is that how do we optimize our agricultural value chain? How do we create a real business out of them, which is a win-win situation for everyone? There are specialized markets. There are people who want organic agriculture. Recently in Moga, this mandi was held which is specifically directed to organic agriculture produce. How do you reach to consumers without too much of wastage during the journey? And overall efforts, for example, we cannot talk about agriculture alone. Industry is supporting a lot. Now data-driven agriculture, agriculture 4.0, we have drones, government is promoting drones, for example. So that is solving many questions. For example, with drone, if we spray the agrochemicals, and if we compare the spraying with knapsack sprayers, which are basically held by a farmer and then done, of course there are obvious health issues there, but even working efficiency is much higher in terms of number of hectares covered per hour. Pesticide use efficiency is much higher. Now people are working on insecticide resistance mechanisms by using drones, because if drones will come as a service, then what can happen? The farmer has basically given this service to some service provider, and they can make this informed decisions that at different stages of a crop, we have to use different pesticides, different insecticides, so that this resistance in the insects can be brought down. So again, these are multiplier effects. One intervention will take oneself to many other areas also. So I think these are exciting areas to work with, and the Indian farmer is also, especially the farmer from Punjab, has this capacity of risk taking, and but it is again our responsibility as a society to manage the risk for them, because ultimately agriculture belongs to all of us. So how do we manage that risk? How do we change our diets? Can we incorporate more of maize in our diet, which is a traditional Punjab crop? And some of the geographical indications can also be brought in. So these are the areas, I think, where ultimately this optimization has to be done, and organization has to be done. So quality control of silage, which is going to the milch animals, and because ultimately that will reflect in the milk and the health of the people. So I think with these options that are available to us, a lot of research is going on. Policymakers are very enthusiastic about designing these policies and getting to solutions immediately. I think we are looking forward to a transition in Indian agriculture as well as in global agriculture by building more resilient systems. So I think we will wind up in our panel discussion for today till here, and we'll be looking forward to receive questions from you. In fact, learning from you, what are your views on all this thing, and how do you think we should be reorienting our research programs and making it more compatible with what are the needs of society. So questions, please, if you can. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hello. So just wanted to ask, you talked about everything from water to plants to crops and everything. I was wondering what we are doing for the soil conservation, because as you see, Sadhguru has started this new soil conservation project. We have talked about everything but except for the soil, and soil is the very basis of agriculture. Most of our agriculture is based upon soil. So what are we actually doing for its conservation? Because as you can see, you talked about everything but you left out soil. And I've seen people actually forgetting soil at all, because population is increasing. There's not so much of land. Even in India, most people, they're just selling their lands just because, mostly just to transport themselves to Canada, but mostly they're just going to Canada and selling their lands, and land is less, soil is less. What are we doing for soil preservation? That's mostly my question.
Okay, I will, because there is so much in agriculture, it is not possible for us to touch each and every aspect in just a matter of half an hour. But this is a very good question. And not only a few NGOs, but the government of India has launched a very ambitious scheme in 2015 of soil health cards. So if you are aware of that, many policies are working on this soil. And I think, Dr. Nikhil, you can please tell the experience in Punjab.
Hello. Hi. You are right, ma'am. Soil, we call it as our mother earth. Soil is a very important substrate for crop production. So healthy soil will generate healthy food, and healthy food will give us healthy health. So our health is also depend upon the soil health. So this is very important topic, how we can conserve our soil fertility, soil health. And one is, you are saying soil degradation or soil, what is in Punjab, we are taking 3 crops. The cropping intensity is more than 300%, where we are taking 3 crops in a year. That is possible due to our blessed climate, that we have plenty of sun hours in our region, that we have taken 3 crops. So when we are intensively taking crops from the soil has gone exhausted. Not the soil organic matter, not it's increasing because we are awareing the farmers, because soil organic matter is the only key to soil fertility. Our microbes, our microfauna also depend upon the soil organic matter. So in the general Punjab, soils are having the 0.3% of organic matter, but if the soil organic matter will be more than 1%, then when we can go for organic cultivation of these crops, because the yield is only coming from the organic matter in the soil. But our commercial cultivation, we are using excess use of fertilizer, excess use of chemical, we are adding to the soil. That is causing killing of our microbes, beneficial insects like earthworms. So that is causing the more problems like soil, EC of the soils is increasing, pH of the soil is disturbing. So there is need to conserve the soil. We are awareing about farmers about IPM and INM, integrated nutrient management and integrated of this pest management. Because earlier people are drenching the plant with the chemical fungicide and chemical other insecticide to control the termites. But we are now recommending the biocontrol for these pests in the soils. We are recommending trichoderma, pseudomonas. These are biofungicides. They are controlling the soil-borne pathogens. So ultimately, these bioproducts, the biopesticide and biofertilizer, they are increasing the soil fertility, which is need of the hour. And we are training our farmer. We are helping the farmer how they can make their own these bioproducts at their own farmer level, so that we can reduce the input cost of agriculture production. Thank you.
And that's true that adoption of more conservation agriculture practices will also naturally build the soil, causing the reclamation and other things.
Yeah,
right?
multi-cropping and like creating the biodiversity, because monoculture has given the, this problem of soil degradation, because we are growing the wheat and rice culture cropping pattern, and these both crops have the same root zone. So at the same root zone, the nutrient and depletion of nutrients at the same rate from the same zone of the soil. So we are recommending that you should change our crop with the having the different root zones. Like you can add legumes in the crop rotations. Yes. You can add cotton in the crop rotation. You can add sugarcane in the crop rotation of wheat rice. So we can manage the biodiversity as well. And these crops, one crop is protecting the other crop from the insect pest also.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Good morning, everyone. My question is to Dr. Nikhil. How would you describe the precise system that is data-driven according to you and traditional as well? When a majority of the agrarians are believing in monocropic system, as you said, how would you work on this diversification and manage the profit as well? And next question, also you discussed the use of drone to the farmers. When for the Red Cliff line, we are bagging it from the center and waiting for budget allocations.
You can answer the first one. The first question is, how do you describe a system that is both traditional and data-driven?
I will share some data, what I have seen from a research paper from the last 1960s. What was our cropping pattern? I will share some data that at the 1960s, we have only 5% of the paddy area in Punjab, and our now present area is more than 75% paddy area. So the wheat pattern I will share, in 1960, it was the only 30 to 35% wheat area in Punjab, and now more than 80% area is under wheat. So these are how our cropping cycle has changed and how farmers are only focusing on these two crops. That is that earlier we are growing 10% area under grams and more than 5% area under pulses. So that area has reduced to less than 1%. So that we need to shift our crops, because our forefather was growing that crop and now we are facing this crop diversification problem. So the shift is needed. Groundnut area. In Punjab has groundnut, earlier it was 1 lakh hectare groundnut area, but now very less area, less than 1,000 hectare. So how agriculture has shifted, how our cropping pattern has shifted. Similarly, the maize crop, what we are eating maize, chapati, this makki di roti, the floor of the maize is coming from the Himachal, and we are not growing the maize for the grain. And grain is going to the poultry feed and the dairy sector feed. So I think what we are eating, we should grow that crops. And our now, even some part of the Chandigarh and Tri-City area, the wheat is coming from the MP. Do you think we have to export our rice and basmati or wheat to the other country, and we are taking the grains from the other states? this is not a viable option. So we should grow and focus, and we should promote those crops which we are eating and which we are locally consumed. Thank you.
I think Dr. Nikhil wants to say that ultimately crop diversification is important. For your next question, which was on drones, and probably they are expensive and probably farmers cannot buy, I think it was related to these. Government of India is giving subsidies, a large amount of subsidies, and recently they launched a drone with certain specification that they call as Kisan drone. And they will be providing this at quite a good amount of subsidy to the farmers. For research in this area, they are giving probably 2 drones to every research institute at 100% subsidy. So this is the kind of efforts that government is taking, and this field is also growing technologically. We are talking of drone swarms also, that one drone will go take the images, see which areas in the field need what sort of spraying, and then another drone will couple to it and spray those kind of things. But these are all still technological, they are in infancy, and we are working towards that. So far as spraying of agrochemicals is concerned, we are quite at a comfortable level, and government is promoting these a lot. Next question. Yes, sir. I think we can take.
Okay, sir. I want to understand the water policy regulation. I actually not understand that part. The water policy regulation.
Earlier, we have not any policy, water regulation policy. So central government has also initiated and started a department, Jal Shakti Vibhag, and they have also given a policy for state level also to control the groundwater extraction. And recently our state government has also made his own, because agriculture is a state subject, he has made his own agriculture policy for the state. And first focus in this water regulation policy, the focus is to how we can check and control the groundwater extraction by the industry first, and by installing water meters, and the price and rate they will charge from the industry, because the industry is extracting water daily basis and in regular season, whereas in the agriculture sector we have a seasonal demand of irrigation water. So firstly we are thinking the big industry, they are consuming more water, and then they will shift to the urban, then to the farmers also in the later on, because water, groundwater is very precious. We have our department has done a study with the Department of Hydrology, IIT Roorkee, and we have taken the carbon dating of groundwater. What is the source of our groundwater? So we are extracting the third aquifer now presently. First 2 aquifer has dried up, and we have gone to the third. So we have not the sufficient water. As we going deeper and deeper, the quality of water is not as good, and even the heavy metals, they are coming in the groundwater. So this is a big challenge. We should restrict the groundwater extraction, and we need this policy, and we should implement this policy on the strict level. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I want to analyze the 3 sectors within economics: the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. I want to know what policy the government in that instituted that the primary sector or the agriculture sector is contributing hugely to the Indian economics.
So actually, since it is about Indian economics,
I want to know what policy the government in that instituted that the primary sector or the agriculture sector is contributing hugely to the Indian economic.
yes. So these, as I already mentioned, that these sectors are interlinked. So the biomass produced in the primary sector is going to agro industry in the manufacturing sector. And for example, now we are talking of drones, and drones as a service, where there will be a service provider, and so that is the backward linkage with the services sector. So they are naturally interlinked, and whatever the government, for example, government has played a lot of emphasis on road development. Road development is positively linked with crop diversification, because then the farmer can take his perishable goods to the nearby markets. So they are all related, they are all interlinked in an economy. And so any policy which takes care of one sector does bring beneficial effects in the other sectors also. Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Where, sorry,
Yeah, right here.
okay, yeah.
No.
Okay, sure. Right.
Yeah, I'm David Carter from the lovely Professional University. Yeah, my question is to ma'am, Ph.D. scholar.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I know due to India's economics, there have been some productions of transgenic plants. So I want to know, as an MSc student, are those transgenic plants that have been produced here in India, are they safe for our health? Are they safe for consumptions? Or what are some of those benefits that those transgenic plants give us? Okay.
Hi, it's nice to get this question. It's a very pertinent question, I think. So we are not, when you're talking about transgenic, automatically we are talking about foreign gene integration. So currently our policies are not in support of having food products or transgenics giving food products getting into the food chain in our country. So that is why I was talking about genome editing, which is a better method, and it does not include any exogenous gene in it. And yeah, so right now policies are not feasible, but we have the SDN1 and SDN2 categories which have been relaxed, rules have been relaxed. So work is going on for targeted gene editing based on the traits that we need, be it in food, be it in ornamental plants or so and so, and that could be, resistant towards biotech and abiotic factors in the coming time. But we are still yet to get there. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
So, okay, next question.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. As we recently talked about soil conservation, my question is regarding the technique of hydroponics, as it is a technique where water-based nutrients is used for the growth of plants without the use of soil. So what are your views on that, why it is not widely practiced here in India? And this question is on the behalf of Food Science and Technology Department here in the university. Thank you.
So Sanjay.
I have worked on hydroponics. My PhD was on substrate-based hydroponics under protected cultivation. So the future of, I will share the future of hydroponics. Actually, the soil is the limiting factors. I will start with the soil question, that where the soil is problematic, saline soils or soil-borne pathogens are there, or there is no soil. So where there is the problem in soil or soil is the limiting factor, then we can adopt these hydroponics technique. Hydroponic technique where we are not using the soil. Either we are using a substrate-based hydroponic, can use deep water culture, we can use nutrient film technique in hydroponics. So there are different techniques in hydroponics and other related techniques like aeroponic and aquaponic. So these techniques has been standardized, and research is going on by the state agriculture universities. But recently we have more than 8 to 10 agriculture farmer farm on hydroponics. They are growing leafy vegetables, they are growing herbs, they are growing these Brahmi cultivation in NFT, and cherry tomatoes and regular tomatoes, bunch of tomatoes under soilless substrate. So there are brands like Leaf Hydroponics in Punjab, is Farm Crisp is a brand which is producing these hydroponic growing vegetables and supplying to the Tri-City. And because these hydroponic techniques are very costly, having high input cost, so farmers are only successful when they are making their own brands of their produce and selling directly to the consumer, so that he can get more price and more profitability for hydroponic growing vegetables or crops. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, please, next question.
So, good morning, sir. Myself, Aditya Kumar, and I am from lovely Professional University, representing here National Service Scheme from Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. So, first of all, thank you very much for enriching us on this topic. So, sir, as we see in an Indian scenario, a doctor wants his son to be a doctor, an engineer wants his son to be an engineer, but in most of the cases, barring some exceptions, a farmer never wants his son to be a farmer. So, how can we optimize and organize this primary sector and attract the youth of India to do their best so that the youth of the country is attracted towards the primary sector rather than flowing to Canada and going towards brain drain and to secondary and tertiary sectors. I need your views on this topic.
Yes, definitely. This is, you said in Indian scenario, but because our international guests are here, so I will like their view on the international scenario. So what is happening in case of US or UK, there also farmers do face challenges. So how are they getting into agriculture, or what government is doing there? Some schemes, please, if you can highlight.
Okay. Hello. So let me rephrase this question. Actually, we should not ask that, why farmers not want to become a farmer? Because, there is some reason, right? There is only one reason, that is currency. You can say that currency is not important, but I am a son of a farmer. My grandfather was a farmer. Then I moved to the academia. So the problem is, we are dealing agriculture. We should deal the agriculture as an agri-business, right? A businessman, and that's why they coined the term agripreneur. Only US has more than 4,000 startups which are based on the agriculture only. They are dealing with the soil problem to the irrigation problem. Everything is covered in that, covered by those startups. So first, I think we should focus on the innovation. So until unless there is no innovation, there will be no production, and if there is no production, there will be no market. So it is all interconnected. The second thing, for the new generation, we have to make the agriculture cool, right? The cool. If you will not make cool, nobody will entertain. So for example, let me give you another example of US. They have the orchard picking systems. So in summer, say you have the apple orchard, you have the big apple orchard and they are ready to pick up. You are growing lots of pumpkin and they are ready to pick up. So they invite everyone to their farm. You go over there, you pick up the apple, you come to the center, pay for that, go back home. So it serves several purposes. First, you are buying, your customer is directly coming to your home to buy. The second one, the new generation, they are getting interacted with the person who are there, or how they are growing, what is the system. So from the very beginning, they are introducing the concept of agriculture. Like my daughter was, when 3 or 4 years old, she went to the pumpkin orchard. So she know nothing about agriculture. She know nothing about. She only care about pumpkins because she need to carve on right. But still, when you get interacted with the stuff, you get ready for that. Okay, this is the food on my plate is not jumping from the sky. It is coming from somewhere. If you know the source, you will respect the source. So farmers are only living the farming because it is not cool anymore. Second thing, it is very uncertain. It is like gamble. You go to the casino and pay some money, you may win, you may lose. But what if you lose scenario and home always win, right? So what you are not getting everything depends upon those profitability. So first thing, we make it cool so that people can get aware with that one, they get interacted with that one, and second one, make it profitable so that they can survive because they have their family, right? So I think these are factors we should consider for the future.
Now we can have last question, and that I prefer international dimension. We have one guest waiting, so let's give her one chance as well. Any agriculture related to international dimension? Global issue, for example? Please.
Hello. The question is from Dr. Srivastava and Mr. Sanjay. The question is about the GM crops and the what we call the processed or plant-based meat. The thing is, when we read articles and they said they are highly processed. So how can we show that they have the proper efficiency or nutrients in that? Because last time we have GM mustard crop and there were protesters going on, and then we have that plant-based meat, and the FDA is saying that it is highly processed and lose all the nutrients that we need. So what's your take, sir? Ma'am, GM and the processed meat, plant-based meat.
So you want to say that whether I mean, I think it is similar to the question was asked whether transgenics are safe or not, right? That is your...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because there was protest going on. Just like Indian government announced that we should have GM mustard because that have better productivity and we grown it in a lesser area. So what's your take on that? Because there are several activists and scientists was there in that protest.
Okay, let me start with the protest. Don't go with the protest.
Okay, okay.
Okay, to go with the science. People still protest in US for the COVID vaccine. So, I mean, first, if you are a student of science, first go with the science. The vaccines have, different vaccines have saved millions and billions of life on the earth. So first, there is always protest. Second thing, the transgenics. So the old concept are, the transgenic concept is being old. So our concept is you are introducing a new gene, some viral promoter, some viral terminator to drive a gene expression so that it will get a new trait. But nowadays, you don't have to do anything. Like Bipasha said, like SDN1, SDN2, if you use the Cas9, if you use the homologous region, you can introduce any part of, 300, 400, even people have more than, inserted more than 100 kb in the genome of human cell and some other. So you can derive the expression of any genes, or you can insert a fragment, or you can delete a fragment. So the old concept of transgenic is gone. So it is not like, you have to insert something foreign. Even I was working on a project in the tobacco. So we took everything from the tobacco, the promoter, the gene, and the terminator. And since, because of the technological advances, you know that, what is the expression of all those promoters in your gene. So you can choose the best promoter which is suited for you. You can use them to derive the expression. So please, all of you, please don't go by the protest, don't go by anything. Just follow the science, follow the method, and you will get your answer. It is not, don't go by me too, I am nobody. But if you go with the science, you will understand. In the Spanish flu time, maybe more than 120 years ago, people were protesting for the Spanish flu vaccine and everything. Even after 100 years, we are doing the same thing for the COVID-19. So, our psychology is same. So we should follow the same. Don't follow the activists, don't follow the protests. That's all I think.
Yes, sorry. I would like to add this with an example. So, generation of transgenics or mutations or anything, it happens at random as well in nature. And that is how you have different varieties of, for example, you have rice. There are certain varieties that are resistant to some stresses, some are not, right? So I can give you an example. There is a variety of rice that has tolerance to phosphate insufficiency, okay. Now other varieties, so it was, while other varieties, they are not tolerant to the phosphate insufficiency. When compared, it was observed that with, what is it called, evolution, right? With evolution of about 1 kb region of the genome was deleted by natural selection. No science involved, no scientist did anything to that. That happened by natural selection. And due to that, their other variety got developed that did not have that resistance. So these are natural processes as well. And what scientists are doing is, because as I have said earlier as well, that we need to treat or we need to answer the environmental challenges, because the pace with which plants are getting the resistance is not at par of what is required, what is the requirement of the time. And that is why scientists are intervening and they are trying to develop more, better varieties of rice. So I think we need to have our mindset open to that. And we need to think of that aspect as well, because if you do not answer these questions, maybe in next 100 years, you won't have anything to eat. So we need to answer those questions as well. So I think that answers your concern, I guess.
Just I want to add one more example. All of you may have the smartphone in your hand. You can search the parent of the maize and the current parent. There is only one gene difference. The Nature a science paper come a few years back. So there is only deletion or non-functional one genes, and you cannot identify the parent and the corn, right? So one thing can do the magic. And for the deletion or making it non-functional, you don't need to insert anything. We are technologically advanced enough to insert that mutation without inserting any foreign DNA. So.
Sure. Thank you, sir, and thanks, ma'am. One last question we can have.
Good morning, and thank you for an excellent panel. This has been very interesting. You asked for a global question, and one of the most pressing global issues is global warming and how do we respond to global warming. And you did mention the carbon footprint of the cattle industry and some of the things that are being done. I'm just curious as what kind of research is being done to address the carbon footprint that is obviously a big part of, it's a very large country, India, like the US, and we have to transport food, and that creates a carbon footprint. And I'm just wondering if you can address what kind of things are being done or thought about innovations as far as lessening the carbon footprint.
So the question is, because of the climatic changes, there are lots of, it is expected there will be, as I told, that the global food output or agricultural output will be soared by more than 40 to 70% if more agricultural lands are not available. So sir asked that, what can we do? What is being done, or what can you do to change that? So let me start the answer with the one disclaimer, maybe two disclaimers. So I am vegetarian, so my answer is very biased. And second one, if you will meet, I don't have any bias toward you, and I am not saying that, so please don't get mad on me. So actually, the recent research, maybe from the University of California, LA, and some other university, they say that if every person in the US choose to go for the plant-based diet for 1 day in a week, it would be taking off 7.6 million cars from the road. So if you choose to go to the vegan for 1 day in a 1 week, if a country choose to be, you will removing more than around 8 million cars from the road. That is the impact of your changing the diet, right? So there is another estimate, if the whole world, it is not possible, it should not be like that, but if you whole the world choose to go the plant-based diet today, we will add more than 50% in our food supply chains. So we are saying that in 2050, our population will be 10 billion, and we will be short by 40%. We can add right now by changing one thing in our diet, by 50%. So the simple changes, I'm not saying that you need to change everything, but simple change in our life, today if you decide collectively, no, we want to make this change, we can change so many things. So yes, climatic, when I was a kid, there was a concern of the pollution. When I'm grown up, the government tried to use not pollution, they used controlled pollution. So they said, okay, you cannot avoid the pollution, but there should be some control over the pollution. Unfortunately, we cannot stop the climatic changes, but we can reduce it. How can we reduce? We can reduce by our activity, by simple changes in our life. I just gave you one changes in like food, but food is only one part of our life. We can change several things, like Delhi government say, okay, you can use car for 1 day only. So something like that. So this is the things we can change, since we are talking about the agri-tech and food security. That's why I give one example of the plant-based diet. But remember, I am vegetarian, I am biased. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful answer. And sir, because of the brevity of time, we'll be finishing here. And once again, on the behalf of panelists, I thank you all. This is a wisely chosen group with 2 eminent international guests, 1 person who is working on the ground and 1 PhD scholar. And the average age of this group is around 35 years, I think, so it is well within the spirit of Y20. Thank you very much.